all I smoke is that loud. Don't pass me no midget. And I'ma smoke all of my pen. I got murder on my mind. AK-47s, Mac 11s, Glocks and 9s, and all these pussy niggas hating, trying to knock me off my grind. But I can't let them do it. I got murder on my mind.
So you want to tell me about this YNW Melly?
Yeah, so...
What's up with these rappers' names? They always start with like a... It's like the government. They have like a 3-letter acronym and then a name.
I don't know.
I'm assuming that's his clique, his crew, and that's his
I think so, because
association, his
there's
name
like
in it.
other people with like YNW something else. I mean, I don't know who they are, but I guess there's a whole like crew.
Okay,
of them,
it's like a collective, like ASAP.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
ASAP Rocky.
ASAP Ferg.
Yeah.
But okay, so I guess this rapper, he a couple of years ago, or however long ago, a year or so ago, 2 of his like best friends and his crew got murdered in what at the time looked like a drive-by shooting. But I guess through some sort of like investigation over time, inspecting the crime scene, and after I think it was like a year or something, they now arrested him and one of his other friends because they set it up to make it look like a drive-by shooting. And like the prosecutors are now saying that the YN Melly dude and his friend like murdered his other friends and set it up. Now, I don't know. This is where I wanted your opinion on this. So,
first of all, can we address his name before you get into these scenarios? His name is Jamel Demons.
Jamel Demons.
Dude, who has the last name Demons?
That's...
Or is it Demons, dude? It looks like Demons.
Demons. It says Demons.
It could be Demons.
Well,
for us, it's going to be Demons. We're going to stick with that.
So, okay, this will make you think. So
I don't know. I'm suspicious already.
He, in the 2 scenarios, he could be a demon in one of them. So
it literally says Demons was not at the hospital that early. I'm glad Demons weren't at the fucking hospital.
He could have, just because, okay, like, I don't know if it's really that big of a thing anymore, but for a while, like, in like the rap community, like the more like thug you like appear to be, like that's cool, So, and like the more like you're involved in shit, like that's cool. But so I got to thinking, I wonder if he either let's say he accidentally, like, because he has a song that says like he like killed someone he didn't mean to. And Murder on My Mind, yeah, that's really helping your case.
Then the next song is Mind on My Murder. Not even joking, on the CD. I saw it when I was queuing up the song for the podcast.
But they were I guess like best friends, and let's say because people are like just stupid with guns.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Like, let's say he accidentally like killed like 2 of his friends.
2 of them, though. I mean, damn.
So
is he holding a turret down or something? It's a fucking handgun.
Just follow me. Okay, so let's say he murdered his 2 friends by accident, and he's like, fuck, I don't know what to do. Like, my rap career is just starting. Like, I'm just gonna make it look like it's a drive-by, so I don't get in trouble. And so let's say that was scenario 1, but then let's say like scenario 2, like he's actually like a fucking like serial killer, and he like just killed them, and just to make it seem like he was like more like involved with some shit and to help his rap career.
That was
even
a perfect
further.
Murder. He's like, damn, someone did a drive-by.
Dude.
Well, here's what I was thinking about when I started reading it, because they're all in this little, somewhat gang, but they're into music, which is cool. But who knows what other activities they're involved in. So even though they've been best friends since childhood, how do we know that maybe these guys weren't trying to screw over this guy?
Yeah,
and he just doesn't want to snitch to the police, which I understand.
Also,
So he gunned them down before they gunned him down.
Also that too. And
semi-valid point.
I guess he like turned himself in, like no one like beat down his door and arrested him, but I don't know. You would have to be like pretty confident in your innocence, or just like either no remorse or like crazy or something, to just like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna turn myself in for this.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't just him. There was 4 guys in this Jeep, and this other guy, Cortland Henry, was 20. So apparently he's accused of helping him staged the crime scene inside the Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy was definitely in on it. And it's like 2-on-2, so you got to think something was going on there. If they all were really friends, they wouldn't have done that to each other.
Yeah.
These
That's
guys
why it's so
obviously-
confusing.
Yeah, obviously there was some sort of conflict. People took sides in pairs of two. You know, we don't know who else was involved, but at least in this situation, pairs of two. And they got the other side first, is what it looks like, really.
That's exactly like what... That's a huge possibility as well, too.
Dude, the single Murder on My Mind became a certified gold record last month after selling 500,000 units.
What does that mean? 500,000 units.
I heard on a podcast recently, you have to look up the exact numbers, but it's actually exact amounts you sell that you just get these, by the record industry. I don't know, RIAA or whatever.
I mean, like, is that like
gold's like
one
500,000?
song? No. I mean, like, is like one unit like one song download, or is that like an album download? Like,
I don't think it's a stream and it's selling, so it has to be the whole
no,
album
like,
or an
someone
iTunes buy.
Yeah. Someone like buying the album, downloading the album, same thing. But like,
yeah, because it's
not a stream. No, because 500,000 streams, like, they'd be gold everywhere.
It's also just a song, so it means people are buying it on iTunes because his album isn't gold; it's just a single.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, having a gold album, he'd be way more well known. I've never even heard of this guy, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither.
Until you sent me this. I didn't really read the... oh, shit. I didn't really pay attention too much because it seemed like just like a random Instagram page, like, oh, a rapper shot his friends, like a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. But now that I looked into it with you, it's actually an interesting situation.
Yeah, because
they were longtime friends, and... they were making music together, and then unexpectedly they go to a remote road near a waste management plant, and two of them gunned down the other ones. Yeah, Henry was apparently not cooperating with prosecutors in the investigation, which is continuing. So yeah, basically some shit went down. No one's talking. Yeah, look at this other guy. His friend who helped him looks like even more tough.
Well, I would have to guess that
this guy's got a neck tattoo right in the middle.
Maybe they did just get into, like, for example, let's say there was some sort of like contract negotiation thing that was going down, and someone was going to get more or less, and I don't know, things got ugly, because I mean that happens in the music industry. You know, you see bands break up, you see groups break up.
Or maybe this main guy was going to take the guy who helped him on tour, and the other two were pissed.
So I mean, it could be something like that. But I mean,
we don't really know anything about these guys, but just looking at the photos, the guy on the right at least looks like one tough fucking guy. You know what I mean?
Dude, well, look. How about this? Look at
just that look on his face.
What's his face? Tekashi 6ix9ine. I mean, like, he's got tattoos and stuff, and it's like, okay, well,
yeah, the tattoos aren't.
He's not that tough. Like,
no, tattoos don't make you intimidating, but more like the guy's expression. The guy on the left looks more like, what am I doing here? Which is actually the main guy, the rapper.
He turned himself in. I mean, I
don't know. I'd be suspicious of the guy who's the accomplice. I think he might have done it. That guy looks fucking scary.
Well, shit. I mean, I would look. If I was getting a mugshot taken to be thrown in prison for fucking murder, like, I'd probably be like shitting my pants. Like I would not. I would not look like
God forbid.
Kevin
I wouldn't kill anyone in blood or anything like murder like that. But if I ever was going to jail for anything that required a mugshot, I'm definitely gonna try a smile. Because if I'm gonna be in there, I'm not gonna look all psycho with my eyes just wide open. I'm at least gonna look happy, like, I'm here.
You'll look creepy because, like, let's say you're on like a trial for murder, and then they're looking at this mugshot. He's got no remorse.
No, I'm not talking about murder. Just something stupid, I don't know, like parking tickets.
Someone will use it against you. Oh, he's got no remorse for this, so like, don't take it easy on him.
Yeah. Kevin, you're in court for 2,000 and back parking tickets, and they pull up your mugshot, and you're just giving a thumbs up.
Going there crying, I didn't mean to do it, and
Yeah, we're not buying it. So what else do you have on your mind? How's your week?
It's been good. One of the first full weeks back to work. It's been nice, but
it's the time of the year to just hunker down. You just got to keep going.
What about you? Anything interesting pop up for you?
Well, my cat, Kiki, Kiara's been sick, which has been crappy the past few days, but
Yeah.
luckily she's feeling a little bit better. Taking her to the vet tomorrow. Pets really can throw off your week, but it's mainly because we love them. You know, it's not a frustration thing. It's concern. It's like a kid in a way.
Oh yeah, like if my cat Popo just got sick, God, I'd be heartbroken. But no,
Yeah, if anyone hates cats, I mean, fuck you. I mean,
look,
you can dislike what you dislike, but I hate when people say dogs or cats. I mean, other things I can agree with. I don't know if a hamster's thinking that deeply, but cats and dogs, they can love you.
my
And they
thing
show
is,
feelings. You can tell when they're scared. If people think animals can't be upset, like feel sad, they're fucking psychopaths.
Yeah.
You can see it on their face.
it's one thing if you don't like an animal because you're like allergic to it, like it's like detrimental to your health to be around them. I totally get that. Okay, but just to say, yeah, I don't like dogs or like cats. In fact, I hate them. It's like, why? I mean, you don't have to be around them. I mean, they're just animals. Like, it's not like they're terrorizing you in your fucking sleep, you know? That blind hate, I don't get.
If you ever hear, like a random person, if you walk by, they're like, oh, kick that dog. I'm like, that's a person I want to like hit with my car.
Yeah, so what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah. I take it back. I might have that mugshot. If someone ever hurt my animal, I might be on a mugshot.
Because that would be a mugshot that I would not regret,
No.
like taking. It's like I would 100% go to battle over my little cat.
Go to battle. This is war. I watched what's that movie? Law Abiding Citizen last night. And there's this one part towards the end where Jamie Foxx walks up, and beats him up and tries to intimidate him about. I don't want to ruin the movie. It's
Right.
old as fuck.
Yeah.
but
At this point, there's no really
you should watch it. It's really good. But anyways, he's in jail at this point. That's basically the whole movie. He's in there. But from the inside, he's doing shit. He's killing people. He's setting up traps and all that. And Jamie Foxx is like, I'm putting an end to this now. And he's like, this is all out fucking war. And like yells it like while he's on his hands and knees. He's like, I'm bringing everything at you. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And yeah, he kind of did in the movie, but just the way he said it was so funny. He's just like, I'm bringing all out goddamn war.
I really have to rewatch that movie. I fell asleep on it as a young kid.
I was starting to think I fell asleep the first time I watched it because about halfway through, towards the beginning, I recognized scenes, and then towards the end, I didn't remember anything. It was a whole new movie to me. So I must have either, fallen asleep the first time, or my brain already deleted the end half of it, made room for something else. You watch a random episode of Game of Thrones, your brain deletes some memory.
That's another one that I have to start watching again.
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, because I'm caught up. I've watched everything.
I'm not gonna rewatch all that shit.
I'm going to, but if I'm
I
going
like watching the recaps. They always do it before the new season. They'll play like a synopsis. I think they do all the seasons, but they shorten them into 1 hour each, I think.
So if I'm going to rewatch it all, I have to start doing it soon because I think the new season starts in just like a couple months in like April or something. So there's how many seasons of that show? 5?
6.
6?
Yeah.
So
waiting on the 7th.
We're waiting on the 7th. So yeah, and at like 45 minutes, like an hour or so a piece. That would take up a chunk of time. But I mean, if I think about it, I haven't let's say watched the first season in probably 4 years at this point. So imagine not watching, let's say, Star Wars. Let's say not watching episode 6 for 4 years before watching another new episode.
That's true, but I didn't really because I didn't go back and watch 6 before 7, did you?
Oh, well, how about this?
Because that was the third original movie. I didn't watch that right before.
Oh, no, so how about this? Well, yeah, you make a good point, but still. I haven't watched, in a show, I guess it's a little bit different than a movie since there's so much more,
I know what you're saying. You need a
context in there.
refresher. It's a long time.
Yeah. So,
Can we talk about this here? On r/science on Reddit. No evidence playing violent video games leads to aggressive behavior in teens, suggests new Oxford study.
definitely.
Ages 1,004 people ages 14 to 15.
How
Yeah,
many
I mean,
different studies have like proven this time after time? It's like that's such an old boogeyman type story. The video games are gonna get you.
yeah, even as a kid, I felt like there was an adult part of me that was kind of just going along with my parents, being against violent video games. Like, yeah, okay. Like, I'm not going to
Right.
play them. But I never felt influenced to actually cause violence or anything when I played them at
No.
friends' houses or downloaded, emulators of stuff. Even playing, at the time it got so much criticism before our time was the original Grand Theft Auto, the top-down one.
Yeah.
And I played that when I was 10, 11 years old. I downloaded it for the computer in my room, and I played the story mode for, a couple missions. And I don't know, it's not as impactful as they make it out to be, really. I mean, it's top down, you run over people, and there's a little blood splat. Like, it is cool to have the freedom, but that didn't translate, especially at the time. Even with these modern graphics, it's hard to justify that there's any link there. Because if kids are psychos, they're psychos. Before video games, there was, like, Michael Myers, that whole idea that a kid's just violent, crazy.
I feel
Not,
like
even less than the serial killer level, there's, like, bullies or just violent, impulse type kids out there.
I feel like there's a huge I don't know like the best way to describe it, but it seems like not only with, let's say, violent video games, but with like anything like new in society, people are just afraid of like feelings. It's like feeling of when you're playing a video game for the first time, in terms of like, let's say you're killing someone, you're not playing solitaire, like you're playing a Grand Theft Auto game where you're running people over, you're doing stuff like that. People are like afraid of like, okay, people are like these are new feelings that the average person doesn't experience anymore, because like for a while, let's say people would go to war, like people like all throughout history, like people would be affected by war a lot more closely than, let's say, you and I are living in the US in 2019. So now that people have gotten away from that, it seems like people don't know how to handle that same type of like situation. So I feel like it's kind of like manifesting itself in like that video game realm. People are, for example, with like VR becoming a big thing now. Like there's going to just be more and more debates on how realistic these games can get before it's like, is that legal to be able to like stab someone in VR and like
Yeah.
Walking Dead style.
Like, should a 7-year-old and perfectly good mental health, even like a soccer player kid who has good grades, should that kid even be hacking someone to death in VR? Probably not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm definitely talking about people in sound mind and spirit who are at least like 16, 15 years old,
right,
playing like rated M video games. I don't think there's any connection, even at
Me neither.
13, 14, because like you're saying with VR especially, I think it could bring out really bad behaviors in people with conditions.
right,
Like if
right. Yeah, if
if
you're
you're
already
psychotic
yeah.
and you're playing a VR game where you're like killing a bunch of people in first person, that might trigger some person to go out there and go on a psychotic rampage. But for you and I, it's playing some gladiator game or something. It's just entertainment. It doesn't give me any feeling of anything other than relief from stress.
On the opposite end, what if, let's say, you take that person who was like already predisposed to be some sort of like psychotic like murderer? What if him getting out or her getting out their aggressions in this virtual world prevents them from wanting to kind of reenact it in the real world? So they're like, okay, I've got it out. Like,
Maybe in a closed environment, maybe in a rehab facility, these people with really bad anger issues, they let
in a
them get it
perfect
out.
world, yeah, that'd be great.
But not just in the wild. If there's a caretaker or someone at home, they shouldn't let them be playing even like Gears of War and shit. Because I don't know, they might think people are coming out of the ground and start shooting people with shotguns or something.
I feel like
You
there
gotta
was
watch out for that.
some sort of like studies done or some sort of like article that I read about people getting PTSD from like video games like today. So
I could see it because some of those horror games, I mean, they're scary. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. I get scared. I mean, I'm not gonna act like jump scares get me in movies, really, for the most
I
part.
mean, you're only human. I get scared by jump scares every once in a while. I'm like, damn it, I got.
Yeah, the ones that are set up, I don't budge at all in the theater. But if it's something where just out of nowhere something blows through a window, yeah, I jump like everyone in the theater because it's just, you're twitching. It's a reaction. But those games where especially it's dark and you're just walking through hallways and things make noises, that to me is far scarier than a filmed movie because you're controlling
Yeah,
it.
you've got control.
Yeah, so you decide whether to turn around. Especially in VR, I couldn't handle that. I don't think you'll see me playing one of those VR ones ever.
That's when I feel like our grandkids will be like, come on, just like we're playing the new Halloween like 47 movie, and like Michael Myers just killed me, and you put it on, it's terrifying because it looks like real life.
I'm good on that. I'll do VR archery. I'll go to the top of a mountain. I'll do racing. Anything. I'll do shooting games, but I'm talking like really scary, like bodies
Star Wars,
hanging.
like
Yeah, I don't want to play anything creepy.
Yeah.
I don't really like to keep that stuff in my head. You know what I mean? In general, I just get like a bad feeling. I'm not a super religious guy. I don't want to get into that, but overall, like I just don't like when you go to those movies and it's just like tons of like upside down crosses and demons and shit. Like I just don't want to have that stuff in my mind.
I think of it this way. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like with like let's say music.
Yeah.
Like all like music is not meant for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Some people like that stuff. To me, it just gives me a bad feeling. Like I like to feel happy. I like to watch comedies or watch like a good action movie like The Expendables. But to go into something that just you walk out feeling like weird, you get in the car and you're like, oh shit, what do I do now? I don't like that unless it's like a good cliffhanger. I don't like when you just feel creepy. Like, should I go home and lock all the windows and doors?
When you were young, did you ever watch any of the like Friday the 13th movies or the like?
I used to be into it. Yeah, like I went through maybe I just got it out of my system. But in high school, I would always go to Saw, all those movies with a ton of gore and like the jump scares. Insidious. I don't really watch any of the newer ones though. Honestly, it's been years since I watched. I watched It.
I still have to see that. Yeah.
That was scary, but that's good. The new movie is amazing.
Remember the first time you ever watched one of those like horror movies, like Friday the 13th, whatever?
Yeah, it was probably the original Halloween. I remember them seeing them outside the school, and then the teenage girl was like having sex with her boyfriend. He like comes out of the sheets in the window and like stabs him to death. Yeah, that movie screwed me up for a while. What really got me though, as a not super young kid, was The Strangers. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
It's a movie based on a real story where these people go to the wedding and they go back to this cabin. It's like his parents' property or something like that. And, they're in a fight and he drives around just to, like, smoke some cigarettes and she's at the house and some psychopaths show up. That movie just did something to me. I still get the chills thinking about it. Because there's a scene where she rips open the blinds and there's a guy just standing there with a mask. That gave me nightmares. I woke up several times sweating, thinking there's someone like bashing through my window in my bedroom.
That would kill me. Yeah, because
I have weird nightmares now, though. I don't really, have nightmares about someone coming in as like a monster. I more have dreams of I'm in jail, like I was framed for something I don't even remember doing, and I'm stuck in some cell. Or sometimes randomly like spiders or snakes, because I hate those things. They'll creep in. But what were you going to say? Sorry for cutting you off.
No. I was just going to say, I remember the very first like horror, like gory movie, I guess you would kind of say, that I watched was that Freddy versus Jason movie. Remember that? Like,
I actually liked that one because it wasn't super scary. It was kind of breaking the fourth wall or whatever they call that, because it's like the two universes.
It was a little self-aware.
Yeah, it was woke before that was even a thing, because it was like the two universes fighting each other.
But I would still have like nightmares and shit about seeing that.
Oh my god, that scene when they're fighting at the docks and he comes back out of the water when you think Jason's dead. Oh my god.
There was like one point in the movie where I think like it was like Kelly Rowland or something, like
Kelly Rowland.
Like she
really?
Yeah, I swear to God.
The singer?
Yeah, the singer. Yeah, I swear to God. She was like looking at because you know how what's his face, Freddy Krueger. His thing was like getting into people's like dreams and nightmares and stuff like that.
Oh
And
yeah,
So
I've had plenty with him in it.
so I guess like in the movie, if you remember correctly, like she was like at some doctor's office, like daydreaming, and she was looking at a magazine, and what's his face, Freddy Krueger came through the magazine and stuck his claws in her nose and then ripped off her nose.
Oh my God, stop it!
So I would like.
I still avoid watching.
I'll never
for
forget
me,
that scene.
In a way, maybe it's just because they had the original idea. Maybe it's the old film look to it. But even though the special effects aren't as good, those original iterations of like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, they get to me. I will
It's the
watch
suspense.
I'll watch the newer Nightmare on Elm Street. Like if a girl wants to watch it for Halloween, I'll put on the new
Right,
one, not really
right.
pay attention to it. But the old one, no, I gotta lock the door wall.
It's why
The
like
sliding glass door for people outside Michigan, because apparently that's a Michigan term or Midwest term.
what?
Door wall.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounds so.
It's like where you
common,
have
yeah.
the entrance to your balcony or patio.
That's so weird. I just thought that was a term that everyone used.
Apparently not. I heard that recently. That could have been bullshit, though. I didn't fact check it. Let us know. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. You kind of just
Do you
blew
have
my
a
mind
door
on
wall?
that one. But
Anything else?
No.
Horror movies?
I completely forgot. What were we talking about with horror movies?
Well, just how the originals were scarier
Oh,
than
yeah,
the new
so-
ones.
That's why that one movie, Jaws, was so big. You only saw like the actual shark, like for how many minutes of the actual
Yeah.
movie? Like it was like 10% of it, 5% of it, something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
it looks kind of cheesy in those like few seconds when it's poking out of the water, but for the most part,
It's the
the
suspense.
special effects in the movie are pretty good. I
'Cause,
mean, they're cheesy, but in the remastered one, even it's pretty good.
But think of it this way. I mean, the movie itself is really just like a boat on the water. I mean, like just think about it. How
Yeah.
exciting can you get just a boat on the water with no waves, just like they're fishing?
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
they
it's the
nailed
suspense.
it.
It's the suspense.
Yeah, it's
So-
the music. The music's huge. Have you ever watched those experiments? Like they'll do a YouTube thing where they'll cut out audio or they'll cut out just the music, so it's just talking in a horror movie, and it's pretty funny. They'll be like, what's that? I don't know. Like, have you checked behind the bookcase yet? Then something will just jump on. They're like, ah.
Oh.
And there's like a thing just standing there. It's so weird because they add in all like the, and like all that crazy shit and like the sound effects. So you like jump.
That's exactly why, like, even the early movies, like you mentioned, Friday the 13th or Halloween, those are still scary without like the crazy special effects because they don't need them.
Yeah. Like Jason's somewhere like slowly walking with a big ass knife and all that, the machete.
A lot of movies nowadays use that as like a crutch. I feel like because it's like, oh, if we can't build them up with like suspense, like let's just throw shit at them.
That's why there's a term, like cheap jump scares.
Oh yeah.
Because it's way easier to make a horror movie with, a bunch of people are just talking in a living room than something just dives through the dining room window all of a sudden starts attacking them.
Or-
Compared to like a long build up and mystery of like, what is this thing?
Oh, it's always like you remember that movie with Mel Gibson, Signs.
Yeah.
That movie,
Love that movie.
Oh, I love that movie too. But that movie scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid.
Same when he uses the kitchen knife and he reflects underneath the door.
My God.
I'm getting the chills just thinking about it. My heart was pounding though when you can see the little alien faces. I'm like, oh fuck no.
You remember at the very end of the movie, and spoiler alert, but this movie came out like fucking
baseball
15 years
bat?
ago. Like the alien comes out of nowhere, like holding the daughter or
Oh my
whatever.
God.
And it's just like looking around. And,
Yeah.
dude,
That
I-
movie is very well done. Is that M. Night Shyamalan, right?
yeah, that was one of his like last like really good movies, I think. And people still bitch about Signs, but I don't know. I really liked it.
You know what? Speaking of horror movies, I'm glad we got into this because I was just talking about this movie the other day, and I need to give it as a personal must-go watch if you haven't, for anyone listening. It's Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
It came out, kind of slipped under the radar, I think 2008, 2009, but it was a movie where people go to this cabin in the woods and weird things start happening, but they didn't want to expose the story in the trailer, so they showed like a generic horror movie. And I don't want to give it away because you just have to watch it, but I will say it breaks the fourth wall, that's the term?
Yeah.
Where it's mind-blowing. It goes far beyond what you think it's going to be is what I'll leave it at. It's not just a horror movie.
I remember back when I used to work at Target. I had a coworker. You probably remember him, just Sebastian. I won't say his last name, but
Yeah.
um,
I mean, how many people have the name Sebastian though? It's probably like two in Michigan.
you'd
just
probably be
kidding.
surprised. Who knows?
Yeah, I've met
But,
a few actually.
but he that was one of his like favorite fucking movies, and he obviously told me like the plot of it. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I love when movies can
And not
be
in a cheesy
self-aware.
way.
Well, actually, that even brings to like another point with just movies in general, which I think the industry has kind of caught on to as of late, probably the past like 8 years or so, 10 years or so.
We like overwoked ourselves
Like-
though, in a
like,
way.
They stopped putting so much shit in the trailers, and
Yes.
like that's like a prime example of a movie like not putting the actual like story in the trailer. Like it gives you enough to think, okay, this is what this movie's got to be about. But
Some directors still do that, right? Like Quentin Tarantino, you had no idea what was going to happen in The Hateful Eight, for example, or probably this new movie coming out, like Trials and Tribulations and whatever that new like Hollywood movie.
yeah, I was about
is.
to say, isn't it about like the Manson murders or something?
Yeah, there's typical. There's like every celebrity in it.
I love his movies. I'm so excited.
It's a period piece, so there's like there's this guy I follow who lives in Hollywood on Instagram, and his whole street for a while was blocked off with all these like restored cars that are perfect condition. So it looks like it's the
Right,
era
yeah.
when they're filming it. It's amazing how they can do all that. The amount of money to like block those roads off and pay for all those cars, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, and just like
Even renting them.
the time too, because it's not like, okay, for especially for like a big movie like that, it's not like they'll just like do that for maybe like an afternoon, and okay,
No.
they'll have that set up for like weeks on end, and then
A lot of the
just to-
cars were specially made for the movie too, and that's just the cars, let alone the sets and the stores. Because they have to make everything look like the time. So there has to be a bar that looks like, the 1970s, and they have to have some of these famous Hollywood spots because it was a real place. They can't say it's like Atlanta City and make some crazy
Yeah.
like retro like underwater bar.
and people would just not notice, like, oh yeah, no, that
Yeah, there's people who are gonna go see it who live there.
they lived through it.
Yeah.
They understand.
So they're probably taking original places and making them look a little more back in the day.
I honestly like I've never been a big car guy, but I miss when like cars just look like old fashioned, like anywhere between like
They were art pieces.
50s, 60s, like
Yeah.
I miss that like into the 70s too, but like I feel like 80s, 90s they just look weird, and even like into the 2000s they're kind of cool now.
No, yeah. For car guys, except for Ferraris and a few select exotic cars, of course, the 80s, like the late 80s, mid 80s, especially. Actually, all the 80s, 90s, early 2000s were mostly shit, and a lot of like the American car companies, like the Mustang was garbage for a while.
Right.
And they finally brought it back with the Fox body and started putting the V8 back in it. But yeah, they had these ugly, like the Mustang 2 and all these like crappy cars during the gas crisis. They were, trying to make them as light as possible. So they took away all the cool body cladding and the shapes.
You know what's crazy? How time flies. Because I was just thinking about because I used to
Oh.
have, well, as you know, but I used to have a 99 Grand Am, like a 1999 Grand Am.
Classic.
And I thought about it, and
We should have restored it.
dude, that car, I still think about it as like just it's 10 years old. That car's like, if I still had it, would be 30 years old.
That is crazy.
I mean, I still see people driving around in those
You could
cars.
register it with a historic plate.
It-
It's
Really?
25 years old. Or, yeah.
that's crazy.
Are you sure 30 years? Are we doing the math right on that?
I feel like 19.
Yeah, it's almost 20. Yeah.
Wait, no.
No, 99.
Yeah,
If you had a
90
90.
Yeah, well, still 20 years.
Yeah,
still,
it's almost a classic.
but still 20 years. Like,
Yeah.
that's that's a huge difference from 30, but still 20 years. That's crazy. It seems like the car is just like not that old.
Maybe in like
That's a person.
7-10 years, you have a little bit more money, you'll buy one and you can restore it.
No, thank you. I kind of want to just forget that whole era of driving. That was so stressful.
It's very stressful not having a reliable car, just not
Yeah.
knowing if it's going to turn off, if your heat's going to work, all that. It's very stressful. Or if your speedometer's broken, your gas gauge, all that stuff just makes driving suck because
So-
you can't relax.
Yeah, so because look, just even driving the most safe vehicle, unless you're driving like a vehicle that's driving itself, you're gonna be even then you're still gonna be worried about like what's going on around you. So
Yeah, because you could still hit a pothole possibly in a Tesla, pop your tire.
so if you don't have like your actual equipment like gauges or like lights or heat or like anything to make the drive safer and more comfortable, like it's gonna make it more stressful.
Yeah. Going back to the cars, how they used to be more like art in a way, because they used to design them every year, and it was like a big thing. And they would like change them a little bit. They'd tweak the body curves, and now they kind of come up with a design, and they try to reuse lots of pieces for money saving between models, so they'll share the same steering wheel between like the SUV and the car, and like the big SUV, and so on. But even if you're not into cars, I don't get how anyone can not appreciate the design of the classic stuff. Like you're saying, if like a good like 50s or 60s, like like a old Mercedes coupe or like a muscle car, depending what you're into. Like if you don't like driving fast or into like racing or speed or motorsports, basically,
Didn't they
you can
like
still be into like the retro cars.
the aesthetics of it?
Yeah.
Still, yeah. Well,
There's
I mean,
plenty of people who have like a classic who don't give a shit about racing. They just drive it because they like the era, the feel, the look.
yeah, because I feel like I've heard from people who know a lot more about cars than I do, that the older cars, I mean, you can, I guess, get modifications done to them, but like if you just took like a stock like car from like any 50s, 60s, whatever, they handle like shit compared to like a car nowadays. So like if you were to take your Mustang or like my Escape, like we could handle so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Like night and day difference.
That's
right?
why there's a huge new market. Yes, you're 100% right. The tires were skinny, the brakes were shit. They were very low power compared to modern cars. Like, yes, the chase scene in Bullet is awesome. And watching like the Charger and the Mustang, and they sound cool chasing each other. But if you actually drive those cars after driving like a new Camaro, they feel so bad. But that's why there's a huge market, especially in California. There's a huge concentration.
They don't have
around-
the salt and like shitty like besides for like fires and
Yeah.
like earthquakes, but they don't have like the road shit that we got to deal with.
Yeah, but there's a huge market in that area for this thing called resto mods. But they're all over the place. You can find shops, in your state if you look it up. But basically, what it is they put modern components in a older car. Sometimes an entire swap, including the dashboard, or sometimes they do a hybrid mix where they take the dimensions, like cast molds of the old cars, and they basically make a brand new car. So you get like a 67 Mustang, brand new paint and everything, but they put like a new Mustang engine, suspension, tires. So, with the exception of not having like the best airbag technology, because usually they don't have any, or some of the shops will do like a, retrofit of a airbag from like a modern steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So with the exception of safety, they drive actually better because they're lighter and they're a lot more compact. So if you have like a old Mustang, you think it's like a big heavy car, but in reality, if you park that next to my car, it looks tiny. So you actually would have to widen a older Mustang to match a newer one.
See, if
But they're very expensive, as you would imagine. I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
like minimum 120, 130K, and if you want like fully brand new, like radio installed with Android Auto and Bluetooth and
modern functions,
yeah, leather bucket seats and like HID headlights, like 200 grand. It's basically at that. This is like the price level of like a guy is deciding, do I want to buy a Lambo or like a brand new / old Mustang?
right? So most people, unless if they like really, and
You could do
when
it
you're-
yourself for a lot cheaper, but it would still be expensive and it would take a very long time, and you would have to know what you're doing.
I feel like, let's say if you were willing to spend, let's say you put anywhere between 120 and 200K on a
Yeah.
car that looked like an old car, I feel like that person would just want the old car. You know what I mean?
Well, the
So-
main thing is, like you were saying, is the appearance is what they want.
But no, some people like, I mean,
Yeah, some people do like the original engine.
yeah.
There's still people who do rest. That's the largest
I
market.
feel like at the minimum, you would want to get at least like AC and just like maybe a new radio. I can understand not wanting to change like much of the handling, just like the actual like
Most people do little bits. Like, yeah, I was talking the extremes, like you can buy in a brochure.
put a huge fucking iPad in there.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to make it look
That'd be
too
cool.
modern. If I had the money, I would love one of those classics that looks, it has like a new drivetrain and all that underneath. But what most people do, as far as I know with classics, is it's more of a mix. They might have disc brakes in the front for safety
Yeah,
because old
safety
cars had
features for
drums.
sure.
Yeah, and they probably have much wider and modern tires, which old tires suck. That's the big thing people don't think about is tires aren't the same tires they had in 1970 at all.
I know that like they're like thicker. Do they use like a different material? I would
Everything,
assume so.
just
Everything.
the material, the rubber, the heat, the way it behaves around corners. Like if you take even with the old suspension and everything, actually in a way it might be too grippy, but if you put on like modern sports car tires on a muscle car from then, it'll drive way differently because those tires were basically like shitty bicycle tires.
I was
They would
gonna
just
say-
spin everywhere. That's why you always see cars doing burnouts when they took off.
Weren't because I feel like if I'm watching a movie that had like an older car or like an older movie just in general, it seems like just from my untrained eyes, the tread on those tires was almost non-existent compared to what you see today. Or is that just me just not paying attention?
They were, and unless you had some custom job where they, put some wider like racing slicks on the back or something, even the sports cars came with thin tires and wheels. It wasn't like, you bought you go buy a, excuse me, you go buy like a Mustang, Camaro, Corvette. Now it is like huge rear tires and, decently sized ones in the front. Back then, your Escape, your like SUV off the lot has better tires than sports cars back then.
It's crazy how like much improvement there's been in that.
Yeah, it's all an illusion. Like you can
So-
get an old like Corvette and like a minivan will smoke it from 2007. It's just modern technology is so much better. It's you have to want the experience for something like that, unless you upgrade it.
Earlier you said, well, 'cause we were talking about how cars now they're more to the masses. They're not as artistic as let's say you would say from like the 50s or 60s.
They're out there. I mean, if you go
Yeah,
spend
yeah, yeah,
250 on a
they're there.
Lambo, they look beautiful.
Oh yeah, they're out there. But is it maybe because so many more people are like buying cars now, so they don't have? I mean, they could do whatever the fuck they wanted, but they don't have, in terms of like, let's say Ford, the like brand luxury to just say, hold it. We're just gonna just make all of our cars more expensive, put less out there, but just make them more aesthetically pleasing. Like a big company like Ford, like I feel like that'd be really hard for them to just switch their whole like model, like to doing that. Because now it's kind of like, while yeah, they make good quality cars, and this is not just Ford, all the big ones, but they make so many of them. Like it would be hard to just, and maybe this is just me just not knowing enough about like all that shit, but maybe they're just not wanting to put in the effort to create more aesthetically pleasing cars. But then again,
'Cause there's no
styles
need.
change. Yeah.
I mean, because the people out there who are enthusiasts, they get the enthusiast cars, which are still out there. I mean, they're not as unique a lot in a way as a lot of the classics, but especially in the exotics, obviously people can get into that. But I think at the generic, just the mainstream car companies, Mazda, Ford, Volkswagen, I think the only thing they really care about is cost saving, really.
Yeah. I mean,
Most recently, I saw there's a partnership between Ford and Volkswagen to basically create, one company's going to create a small van and one's creating like a large cargo truck type thing. And they're basically sharing all the parts. And, Volkswagen already has a global platform, so they have all these different car brands and they share the same.
don't they have like the biggest like car plant like out there or something?
Yeah, they have this super plant in Mexico that's larger than cities.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But Volkswagen does all these crazy things with this platform where even the SUVs technically ride on the same platform as the small tiny cars. They just extend it out and add like the extender panel like a table, and there's all these components that fit together so they can cut down on having like only one type of fastener. Like all the bolts are the same size. They do all that stuff. Everything's about just making it efficient. So yeah, I don't think it's more of a personal like what's the design that's going to get us. It's more of in this next generation of car we build, what's going to be the next look. They go by like 3 to 4 year, it seems like, generations now. They tweak it, but they don't like put like a whole new hood or like a whole new headlight design. They do sometimes like a mid-model refresh, but it used to be like if you go look like a 66 through 72 Mustang, every year looks drastically different.
You'll always have those people who just because they look at it as like an art form. People buy shoes and not wear them just because. But
that one I don't get. To me, that's like buying cars and not driving them either.
Don't let me forget about that. But
I get having shoes and wearing them, but go on.
But people now, it seems like maybe the younger generation, millennials, us, and soon Generation Z, when they're really like buying cars and shit. And then again, maybe I'm wrong on this. It seems like
old man.
We don't, and they don't care as much about like how the car looks, but can I afford it, and will it get me to like A and B? So that puts the makers of the car, Ford, Chevy, all of them, Mitsubishi, everyone saying, okay, well, maybe we don't have to focus as much. I mean, we have to make something that obviously that looks good because people don't want to buy something that looks like shit. But we don't have to, create something as artistic because that's not the thing that most people are focusing on.
No, you're right. That's why
there are markets for them. Don't get me wrong, but
you're very right. That's why things like Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, they barely or at all advertise on TV. But and the cars you do see on TV, what do they show you? It's always the infotainment. It's how can you get your text messages? You can play your Spotify, your satellite radio.
Convenience.
It's how many cup holders. People don't really care as much about the engine even as much. They'll do like, this is equal to a V6, but they barely even show the stats anymore. Like people don't care exactly how much horsepower because like so many cars are so fast. Unless you're buying like the lowest economy model of something, almost every commuter type SUV car has some sort of turbo engine that never really feels like you can't keep up with traffic.
Oh,
there's the older cars, especially like a little hatchback, like a manual, unless it was turboed at the time, like a hot hatch, like just a regular car I'm talking about. People used to have to like really push into the gas, or if it was a manual downshift, just to like pass someone. But now these cars just barely push on the gas and you take off.
I can envision a future where you'll obviously always still have the people who want and still do have more custom tailored cars.
Yeah.
Whether they be driverless like or not. But I envision a future where, let's say, at one point most people just have driverless vehicles, and really cars are just about convenience. Let me get to like A and B.
Yeah.
And most of those cars are gonna like look the same.
Yep.
So I could totally see
electric cars in
like
a way they start to look similar because they all have the skateboard type platform they tend to use, where it's the wheels, and then between the wheels to keep a low center of gravity, they pack all the batteries.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, all the cars have the same base from all the manufacturers. Not the manufacturers, not the same exact parts, but I'm saying the concept.
Right.
So they all kind of build off this, low same shape. So in a way, yeah, things just kind of become these, commuter bus type things with our infotainment and our phones connected.
Because I keep hearing like ideas floated around of what like that would look like too. Like most people wouldn't maybe own their own vehicle. It would just be like a community thing. Because like, let's say that
yeah, they've done tons of like market research groups. Younger kids these days don't really even want a car in a lot of cases.
Because let's say I purchased a vehicle, or like a community of people. Let's say like you, me, and two of our other friends, let's say, purchased one vehicle, and we, for the most part, do whatever we do on our regular lives. Unless if it's like a situation where it's like a Saturday night, we're all doing like different things. what if during the week, because let's say we all work 9 to 5 jobs,
Yeah.
we're all going to be at work at the same time. So um, why not let like someone else use that vehicle while we're all like doing shit? You know what I mean? Like let's say you had the day off and I was like, hey, you were like, hey, can I use your vehicle? And it just picks you up while I'm at work because obviously I'm not using it, and they could just do whatever with you, and then when you're done, it just comes and picks me up itself.
Oh yeah. In a way, I think I missed out on the mainstream culture that I line up with in terms of cars, like the muscle car era, because I love those types of cars. But there's still people who are really into sports cars, and there's car clubs out
That'll
there.
never go away.
Yeah, I don't think so. Especially recently, there's a big resurgence with Dodge and the whole like muscle car and like America Heritage thing. People ate that up. I mean, they sold so many Challengers and Chargers out there. All the SRT stuff, people love that stuff.
Right.
It's just so America,
American.
Because people have like the turbo cars and all this. Then there's this like huge like demon Challenger that's just like smoking everything. People love that.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I do love with this new electric autonomous future is, like you're saying, the ability. I want to be able, if I can hopefully afford a Tesla, if they come down in price in the next few years to a more reasonable amount, to be at home, say if I'm just chilling and you went out to the bar or something, you got an Uber there. I wish I could just send it to go pick you up and take you home, because that's the future feature they're going to have when it's full self-driving. You'll be able to send the car without you.
Yeah.
So I could send it, and you can allow temporary usage. So I can be like, go take Kevin back, and he'll just drive back to my house when I'm done.
I feel like
That's the positives.
I would pay like a premium for that. I feel like
It's just part of the autopilot. But yeah, you do have to pay for that.
but
At least currently.
At the same time too, I wonder if just like any industry that is threatened, that's when you see like lobbying and shit. So I wonder if, let's say you get a future like that where someone could just purchase a vehicle, let's say at a premium price, for features like that essentially make services like Uber, Lyft, just regular taxi cabs completely obsolete.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's going to be some sort of like, because someone out there is not going to be happy about that.
Yeah. I actually have an idea. I know someone, if they heard, they're going to steal it. Who has way more money, who can start this up.
So I wonder if there's going to be some pushback legislation wise saying, if you're own a vehicle like that, you have to register as like a company, and you have to like charge people or something weird like that.
It's actually, they already plan that out, at least through Tesla. I don't know about the other manufacturers, but they said when the feature comes out, you either can do it for free for your friends and family, or you can do it as basically like an Uber type service, and you have to sign up for like the Tesla Pass or Tesla Ride.
Okay, so it's still done through Tesla.
Yeah,
So-
but if it's between friends and family, it's no big deal. And I don't think you have to be a business anyways. It's just like being an Uber driver, but it's just your car
That's
doing the work for you like a robot.
because
It's kind of like grinding, mining, farming in like a video game. Like you just send out like your tool to go like farm money for you. It's not a lot, but I mean.
But no, I mean that shit like that's the way of the future, I think.
Yeah, because what if you sent out your Uber Tesla SUV for 8 hours just driving around, and you made a couple $100? You're not even there. You're just at home playing video games.
That would be, see, I would
You could
mind
pay
that.
for the payment off that alone.
Yeah, obviously there would be wear and tear on your car, but you would. I feel like if
wouldn't
you
even
did it
care.
correctly, you would make enough to where it's like, well, A, I can get it all fixed, and then B, I would have enough made to where I could just buy a new one eventually anyways.
Something about Tesla, maybe because they don't have a real engine, it's electric motors. I feel like they don't have a soul in a way, so I feel like I wouldn't treat it as such. You know what I mean? Like I would still take care of it because
Like
it's
a
a
cell
nice
phone.
car. Yeah, I don't know, because it's all electric and it's just a big screen in the middle, and the seats and everything are so durable. You can clean it. I feel like I would just I would wash it when it got super dirty, but it's all anti-corrosion. I would just just use it like a bus. I would just jump in and out of it, clean it when it's really dirty. I just wouldn't treat it, I'm saying, like a nice car you like wax up all the time, because it's just, I don't know, something about the electric car. It's awesome, but it's just like a commuter tool.
Especially if we're looking at a time frame when like that car is not really aesthetically pleasing in the sense of like you're not looking at like a fucking Lamborghini or something like
They're
that.
even not around here. They started delivering the Model 3s, the cheaper model, and I see them all the time. Like, I see one every day driving to work. He goes opposite me, or she. I can't see who's driving it. It's a black one. And I mean, it looks nice, but it barely stands out. It just looks like an Audi or Mercedes. You see those all over here. Even less so, because it's not very flashy. It doesn't have, like, big chrome rims like an Escalade.
It doesn't need to be. You know what I
No,
mean?
it's got the dark, dark gray wheels, and this one has black paint, and it just looks like like a $30,000-$40,000 car you see driving around, like a Fusion.
I think
But
that,
when it does become like a Fusion or Focus or Camry, when you see them everywhere, I agree, that's when it will become full. Like, it'll feel like a utility, especially if it's like a rental program, because who knows how long the batteries last. So if it's all like lease type things and you trade them in every couple of years, I definitely would treat it like that.
that is one thing that they will probably need to put some work into. While, because I'm pretty sure like the batteries in like, let's say just your average Tesla is pretty good now, but let's say that you're sharing it like 8 hours a day while you're at work, that would drain it obviously a lot. So I wonder if they would have to that, or maybe that'll just be like a complaint like people have about like cell phones now. It's like that might be their thing. It's like, yeah, you can use your Tesla, to share, everything, but we're not going to give you enough like battery to let it just go for like 40 hours while you're just,
Yeah. I don't know if I would personally, depending how common they are, if I could afford a Tesla at that point, I don't know if I would send it out all the time for random people, but I would 100%. I was just saying as a business case, but I would use it for friends and family all day.
Because I could see
like send it to go pick up my parents or something for dinner.
That'd be really useful.
Yeah, be like, hey, you want to take it out to dinner? They're going to sit in the back seat that reclines. They don't have to drive or worry about having drinks.
I could see a situation though where, like, let's say you get someone who's just like trying to like mine.
Like some guy's got like 20 Teslas and he's monitoring them. He's just sending. Totally, someone's gonna do it. The internet is powerful. People are powerful.
That's when you'll probably. Well, I mean, I guess it would still be profitable, but Tesla would probably take a big chunk of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they take because it's not out yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Like,
this is all like.
It's not far future. We're not talking about uploading our minds, though, in a way. We're just talking about, things that are out now, but are coming down in price, and these features are starting to become unlocked, mainly due to, they're improving the software, but it's mainly due to regulations and the road rules.
Yeah,
it says right out there.
The biggest challenges.
Yeah, you can pre-buy the hardware now, and it says it'll be enabled when it becomes legal.
Because, like, what I was talking about earlier with, like, video games, people are, like, scared of new shit. So, like, just like how someone's scared of a new video game, like, we're scared to, like, let these, like, driverless vehicles, like, basically, like, switch our whole concept of driving. I mean, obviously...
I can see being cautious about it, but the main thing to remember is that even if there is an incident with these things, if you look at the numbers, they're so much safer than humans.
Way safer.
Because they can see multiple things at the same time. They can look at 360 degrees of lasers and sensors. They can see that bicyclist, but you can only see where you're looking. If you don't look to your right, because you're looking to your left and a guy suddenly comes up at the last second, the car will sense that and jam on the brakes, but you might hit that guy.
One argument that I heard, it's a completely different like topic that the argument was for, but it's very relevant to this. Take like drugs. Like someone was saying, like comparing like medical weed just like to any other drug. So take let's say a pharmaceutical drug that helps 95% of the population, but there's those 5% of people who are like allergic, or it doesn't help, or it hurts them. Those drugs are still in use, and that 5%, there's always workarounds. So take a drug like because people were saying like put that in the same light with weed. Like, okay, it's helpful for a lot of people, but just because 5% of people may have like an adverse reaction to schizophrenia, let's get rid of the whole thing. How that doesn't make sense. That's kind of like the same situation with a driverless vehicle. Yeah, let's say it gets into one accident out of like 100,000. That 100,000, that should way outweigh that one accident that happens.
I know it's tough because then there's going to be the one family where, an autonomous like Escalade ran over our daughter. But in the long, the long term, in the larger scale of things, how many people have been run over by human drivers in the past day? So you just have to, it's tough, but you have to look at it large scale. Unfortunately, nothing's 100% safe. Sitting here isn't safe.
No. But
it is, relatively in life. We're in a safe apartment, and the doors are locked. There's no natural disasters. But even on the level of, we don't know if suddenly some country is going to attack or if an asteroid's going to crash into us.
there could be a huge gamma ray burst from the sun and we could be just fried.
Yeah, or EMP burst. This podcast is never released because my computer is useless from now on, destroyed, and Kevin and I suddenly have to go out and hunt.
Yeah, that could just be it.
But we don't. So instead, we're going to end this podcast and maybe have a couple snacks or something.
I like that idea.
All right, everyone.
This was fun. And happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. And earn your existence. Have a good week. We'll be back next week.
Peace, guys.
Peace.
Wake up in the morning, I got murder on my mind. AK-47s, Mac 11s, Glocks and 9s, and all these pussy niggas hating, trying to knock me off my grind. But I can't let them do it. I got murder on my mind, bitch. I got murder on my mind. I got murder.